Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2020 Chevy Equinox, we're going to be checking out the RockyMounts GuideRail 2-bike platform rack. First impressions of the rack on the back of the Equinox, I think it's a pretty good fit. Actually, I like how this one sits up a little bit higher, which is important with the Equinox because these are pretty low to the ground, and a lot of the hitches, the trailer hitches on them, sit low too. So it helps get everything up a little bit and give you some more clearance. Just a little more peace of mind there to work with. With that said, one of the cool things about this, so it holds your bike down by the wheels as opposed to the frame. So this is going to work with all different types of bikes. You know, whether you have a carbon bike, it's not going to matter because there's no frame contact, or even a bike like this where the frame, alternative frame, I guess you could call it, or a different style of frame, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to have to get adapters or anything. It's going to hold down all the bikes the way it should, and does a pretty good job of it too. I mean, there's movement there, but that's within the rack itself. The bike is staying solid though. One of the things, kind of how this works with the Equinox, this thing actually folds down and tilts away, and you can do it with your bikes on the rack still. So, you know, if you forget something from the back or need to put something in the back, you don't have to go through the trouble of unloading everything. You can just pull this lever here and tilt this down, and then come around. I don't have a ton of space here to move around, but come around and open up the rear hatch and do what you need to do. Whenever you're done out of the back, you can just fold this thing right up, and a nice touch that goes overlooked a lot. You know, it's the little things in life. You don't have to pull the lever again to do that. You can just fold this right up. So, because sometimes it's a little awkward. You know, you got a couple heavy bikes up here and you're trying to pull a lever and do all that. Just one unnecessary step. So, good touch there. How the bike is secured, so we talked about how it's putting pressure on the tires to keep it in place. Well, one of the things that's a little bit different is the actual locking mechanism. So there's a lever here, all right, and these are actually made from metal. I was happy to see that, and not just plastic. So they should hold up for some time, but the way to get the bike off, you're just gonna undo that, and then you're able to swing these down and out of the way. And obviously when you go to take the second one off, have a grip on your bike, because this is the only thing holding it. And that's how it folds down. So I do kind of want to show though how this actually ratchets, I guess you could call it. So while I'm holding everything up here, when you're getting ready to load the bike, you're going to flip that handle in and then bring this up, and it'll actually ratchet. And obviously you want to do them kind of at the same time. I'm not going to do the front because you guys get the idea, but that's what kind of forces that tire down and puts pressure on it, and it's a good hold. So a little bit different style there. I like it. I think it'll work really well. But with that said, I'll go ahead and get her bike out of the way. And obviously, you know, whenever you're not using the rack, make sure to put these things back in and lock them down so they don't go anywhere or get damaged or anything along those lines. Now, something you do need to think about whenever you have the rack on the back of the Equinox, it is going to extend the overall length of it. So if you have a small garage or something like that, you know, keep that in the back of your mind. If you go from the bumper to the very edge of the rack, it's going to be right at about 26.5 inches. So it really don't take up a ton of space. It does sit relatively tight to the back of your SUV. And then whenever you're not using the rack, you can actually store it up. So we'll pull the same lever there. This flips up and fits really tight. Got a little bit of room to work with there. But my thought is, if it's gonna fold up anyway, might as well get it as close as you can. Free up all the space. So furthest point will be here. Kind of tough to measure here. I'll just go from the middle of our bumper down to it, and it looks like it's only going to add about 10.5 inches to the back of your Chevy. So even if you got a super small garage, chances are really good everything will fit still. Moving along down here, the rack is going to work with the 2" by 2" hitches like we have here today on our Equinox. And it's going to come with a locking anti-rattle bolt. And what that's going to do is eliminate any slop or play there in the connection point. That way it's not clunking around whenever you're going down the road. So kind of give you an example of that. Say if we're hitting some bumps, you can see that the rack is going to move with our Chevy and not on its own. Other than that though, at the end of the day, this is a good fit for the Equinox. Honestly, it fits up tight, keeps your bikes high off the ground, it looks good. And since it's easy to use, it's a bike rack that you could just leave on the back for the season if you wanted to. And that'll finish up our look at of the RockyMounts GuideRail 2-bike platform rack on our 2020 Chevrolet Equinox.